Welcome to another episode of Science. Every day we look up into the sky and see clouds, but ever wonder where they come from and where they go? Join us this week as we explore the water cycle, because this week, science transforms.
Thanks, Kevin. When we talk about water, we're actually talking about liquid water. This is the most well-known form of water, which we drink, swim, and cook with. It also makes up our rivers, lakes, and oceans. When water gets too cold, it changes from liquid to solid. In this state, we call it ice, which is what we use to put in our drinks, coolers, and use to skate on. The last form that water can turn into is called water vapor. Vapor is created when water is heated up over high temperatures and evaporates into a gas. You can see this happening when you boil a pot of water and create steam. Most of the time, water is in one of these three forms: solid, liquid, or gas. Water moves from liquid to gas and back again through a process called the water cycle. For our first experiment, we're going to demonstrate how clouds are formed. Using a jar and some other materials, we're going to make our own cloud. To do this, you will need a kettle, a large jar with a lid, hairspray, and some ice. You will also need an adult to help you with this experiment, since you'll be handling hot water and a kettle. Do not touch the sides of the kettle or your jar when they are filled with hot water. Hairspray can also be dangerous if you breathe it in or get in your eyes, so make sure you point your hairspray away from you before you spray it. Begin this experiment by heating up some water in a kettle. You do not need boiling water, just make sure the water is hot enough that it creates steam. When you are done heating up the water, carefully pour it into your jar until it is about 1/4 full. Place the lid upside down on top of the jar, then place several pieces of ice on top of the lid. Wait for 20 seconds and do not lift the lid. After 20 seconds, lift the lid and spray a small amount of hairspray into your jar, quickly placing the lid back on top. You should now see a little cloud inside your jar. What do you think is happening here? Our water is transforming. The hot water is turning from a liquid into a gas called water vapor. This process is called evaporation, which happens when the water is heated up enough. As your glass jar fills with water vapor, the vapor begins to transform back into small droplets of liquid, which hang in the air. The process of vapor turning back into water droplets is called condensation. The ice and hairspray in our experiment help our cloud form faster by speeding up the condensation process. These two imitate the ideal conditions for the creation of clouds in our atmosphere. In our second experiment, we're going to explore how clouds create rain. To do this, we will need a large bowl, a jug filled with water, a cup or mug, plastic wrap, and tape or a rubber band. Later, we will bring our materials outside into an open area that gets direct sunlight. A hot, sunny day is best for doing this experiment. Make sure that the mug is shorter than your bowl, and the plastic wrap does not touch the top of the mug when it is sitting inside your bowl. Start by placing your mug or cup inside your bowl. Pour room temperature water into the bowl around your cup so that no water falls inside of your cup. Add water until half the cup is underwater. Carefully cover the entire opening of your bowl with a large piece of plastic wrap. Use a large rubber band or tape to make sure no air can leave the bowl. Now, leave your bowl outside, making sure that it is not in a shaded area. After several hours have passed, go look at your bowl of water. What do you notice that has changed? What happened to your bowl of water? All of the time spent under the hot sun has caused some of the water in your bowl to evaporate into vapor. As the air inside the bowl fills with water vapor, it begins to turn back into small liquid droplets on the underside of your plastic wrap. This is condensation, just like the water that formed in our cloud in a jar. See how much water is on your plastic wrap? This is the result of water vapor condensing onto the surface. If you take off the plastic wrap and look inside your empty cup, what do you see? In our cup, we have a small amount of water that somehow got inside. How do you think the water is able to get there? After the water condensed onto the plastic wrap, it formed tiny water droplets. As more water condensed, these droplets got bigger until they were too heavy, and they fell back into the bowl and inside our cup too. Water falling down from above sounds a lot like rain, doesn't it? This process is actually what happens with clouds. Once clouds are filled with millions of small water droplets, they become too heavy to stay up in the clouds and fall back down to Earth as rain. The process of water droplets falling down from clouds is called precipitation, or rain. Now that we have learned how clouds and rain are formed, we're going to explore what happens to water once it falls down to Earth. After a rainstorm, what do you typically see outside? Usually, we see small puddles, which are groups of raindrops that join together through a process called collection. Water often collects from high levels of land and travels downward, forming rivers and streams along the way. These then combine to create lakes, ponds, and even oceans. This difference in height is what forms puddles as rain collects into one spot. You can recreate this process at home using a large glass bowl, or even an aquarium tank, filling it with sand, dirt, and rocks. Try making a high area of land, a hill, and a low area of land, a valley. Where do you think most of your water will end up? Once you're done making your land, grab a watering can and create rain over your land. What happens to your rain after it falls? Some of it might soak up into your dirt, but after a while you should see small streams of collected rain start to travel down towards the lowest part of your land. Can you create a small lake? This whole process shows how rain collects into bodies of water in our world. In this process, sometimes our puddles do not move very far before they evaporate back into the sky, but other times water travels a long way before it gets to a lake and eventually evaporates, completing the cycle. With our experiments today, we've explored how water evaporates into a gas called water vapor, condenses into water droplet-filled clouds, and falls back down to Earth through precipitation or rain. We even investigated how low areas of land collect rainwater into larger bodies of water like rivers, ponds, and lakes. Do you know any ways that we use transformations of water or the water cycle to improve our lives? If you have any ideas, tell us in the comments. As always, we would love to see your projects and experiments, so please share them with us. You can do this by sharing a post on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and tagging us, or using our hashtag ScienceCityAtHome.
We hope you enjoyed this week's video of science. Next week, keep an eye out for our feathered friends. Until next time, keep exploring.